Section 15.3 takes a look at, all right, what's going to happen to our net income. We have our break-even point, which is knowing where we need to be to just make sure we cover all of our costs. But that decision gives us information in relationship of our sales, variable costs, and fixed costs. But businesses don't go out just to break even. They're going to want to go through and do better. So basically, managers need to make decisions from break even to calculate unit and dollar sales in order to get a specific amount of planned net income. So a business is going to go through and they're going to set a goal of what they want for a specific net income. And then after they know their break-even point, they can go through and determine whether or not they're making money or losing money. And sometimes they're going to determine that by changing the amount of units that they are producing. Sometimes they will do that by going through and changing how much they're selling them for, because knowing that when you go through and sell at a different price point, sometimes it's going to go through and actually give you a little bit more sales. So making sure that businesses and managers know where they're at will help them to go through and complete this. So we're going to do this for the pizza business again. Here's our information. We're doing July, and it says we're going to use the data from 15.2 in order to complete this as well. So just to kind of keep in mind when I'm talking about some of our break-even point numbers, that's basically what we did in our 15.2 together. So we said right here, instruction number 1, assume Cherry's wants a net income for July of $3,000. So if they say, this is how much money I want to make, we have to calculate the amount of sales dollars needed to achieve this net income. Okay, so in order to do that, mathematically, we have to take our total fixed cost, which was $8,000, and we're going to divide that by our planned net income of $3,000. When we do that, we're going to get our required contribution margin, and that's going to be $11,000. So now we're going to take our required contribution margin, and we're going to divide that by our contribution margin rate, which again we calculated earlier, which was 20%. Again, that was right within our application 15.2. That was our contribution margin rate, was 20%. So if I take $11,000 and divide that by 20%, that's going to give me my sales dollars of $55,000. So we know in order for our business to be profitable, they have to have sales dollars of $55,000. Again, because they said their planned net income was going to be $3,000. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go through and determine if a net income or loss, if 4,000 units are sold, 5,000 units are sold, or 6,000 units are sold. So that's what we're going to take a look at here. Our price per unit, here we have our net sales is $8, not $800. Okay. Our variable cost is $640. Okay. Mathematically, if we subtract here, our contribution margin is $1.60. So we have to go through and get our net sales here for 4,000 units. So I'm going to take 4,000 times $8, and that's going to give me $32,000. Same thing here for my variable cost, 4,000 units times 640, and that's going to give me 25,600. Then I'm going to take 4,000 times 160 here, and that's going to give me 6,400. Okay, so what I have here, my fixed cost, 8,000. And now it doesn't matter how many units I sell, my fixed costs are always going to be 8,000. Okay? So if I have 6,400 for my contribution margin, and I have a fixed cost of 8,000, my costs are more than my contribution margin, so I have a net loss here of 1,600. Do the same thing for 5,000 units. 5,000 units times $8 is going to give me 40,000. Now, 40,000, not 40. Same thing, variable cost, 5,000 units times 640 is going to give me 32,000. Mathematically, I can subtract here, and that's going to give me 8,000, 8,000, 8,000, 0. That's my break-even point. That's what we calculated in section 15.2. So now let's see what we're at here for 6,000 units. 6,000 units times $8 is going to give me 48,000. 6,000 times 640 is going to give me 38,400. Do the math, 9,600. Again, going down. Here we have 9,600 minus 8,000, not 800. And I will have a net income of 1,600. So taking a look at that, 6,000 units would give me a net income of $1,600. That does not get me to my planned income there. So let's take a look at this next part here. Instruction number 3. Cherry's Pizza normally sells 7,500 pizzas in July. If the selling price is reduced by 50 cents, Cherry expects to sell 9,000. So calculate the effect on net income for this change. So basically, we go through and you say, okay, July, they normally sell 7,500 units. Our normal price is $8. But they're going to go through and say, if we do a reduced price over here at $7.50, let's see what happens. $6.40 is still my variable cost. So my contribution margin is still $1.60 on each one. My fixed cost, $8,000. Fill in my knowns. Let's do my math. 7,500 times $8 is going to give me 60,000. 7,500 units at $6.40 for my variable cost is going to give me 48,000. Mathematically, 60,000 minus 48,000 is going to give me 12. So $12,000 subtract 8 is going to give me a net income of $4,000. Hey, that's pretty nice net income for 1 month. But they're going to go through and sell 9,000 units if they reduce the price to $7.50. Is that a good idea? Well, ideally, businesses are going to be like, yeah, that's a wonderful idea. I'm going to sell more units. What's going to happen to my net income, though, if I go through to make this decision? So let's do this. 9,000 times $7.50 is going to give me our total net sales of 67,500. Still, look at 7,500 more in net sales. That's amazing. We should do that. So I'm going to take that, and then I'm going to take 9,000 units times 640, because that's, again, my variable rate. Okay, take a look at, do the math now. Then I'm at 9,900, because our contribution rate for variable cost did not change. 9,900 minus our fixed cost of 8,000. I now have a net income of 1,900. So here's what I ask you. Would you recommend that they lower their price 50 cents in order to sell 9,000 units? Is that a wise decision? Or should they stick at their price of $8 per unit and only sell 7,500? Most people would say, oh yes, go ahead, jump, sell that 9,000 units at $7.50. But look at their net income difference between the two. What is a better decision for them? That's why we go through and we take a look at our planned net income and trying to go through and determine what would be the best option for us. Take a look at see how we did on this one. I'm plugging in the wrong number. I put in 160 and it's supposed to be 110 if I do the math going down. Sorry if I led you astray on that. And this was supposed to be a negative number and I didn't type a negative in front of it. Now we should be good. Good luck with everything.